Welcome to another episode of the Via Stoica Podcast. My name is Benny. I'm going to be your host for this Stoic quote episode. And today we're going to look at Marcus Aurelius, a quote by Marcus Aurelius. And if you want to find more quotes, you can go to viastoica.com, where we have a large database of Marcus Aurelius quotes, but also Seneca, Epictetus, and some other Stoics, some other contemporary writers as well. So please go there and you can find the links to blog posts, the posts where we've used them. And if you want to find a way to use these quotes or apply them to your life, you can book a free consultation with one of our coaches, and they can help you apply it to your life better. And also, please subscribe, leave comments to these episodes. That really helps us reach more like-minded people. And if you have people around you, your friends or family, you think that can benefit from these recordings, these episodes, please share them with them and help out there as well, for them and for us. We really appreciate all the support. But let's dive into the quote. This one is from Book 1. This Book 1 is often an underappreciated book on the meditations. It feels like it's separate, and it does look very separate from all the other meditations. But for me, it's really important the more you dive into it, because it really shows the lessons that Marcus learned from the people around him, the gratitude he has for it, and it really shows them that he also needed support, people around him. So look at Book 1, read it a little bit carefully, and see who he got the lessons from, and also to see who he didn't get his lessons from, right? So he really chooses his people right here carefully. And this quote is from Book 1.9. It's from Sextus, one of his philosophical teachers. He came from central Greece, and he was actually the nephew of Plutarch. And even when he was emperor, he was still following lectures by this philosopher Sextus. And part of the things that he learned from him, and he starts with one word, it's kindness. It's not the quote that I'm looking for, but really shows like what the mindset was, right? And for example, when he talks about his adopted father Antoninus, he starts with the word compassion, and here he starts with the word kindness, and it kind of rings into this quote that I wanted to read for you as well. So further down from his lessons from Sextus, he mentions not to display anger or other emotions, to be free of passion and yet full of love. And this really dives deep into the Stoic idea of emotions and what we want to aim for. And it dispels the idea that people have of Stoics being unemotional. But the Stoics want to choose the right emotions and not the ones that causes that disrupt our peace and calm. Let me read some other translations, because I think they're really helpful in this. This is one of the Penguin classics. Never to give the impression of anger or any other passion, but to combine complete freedom from passion with the greatest human affection. And the other Gregory Hayes translation, he used love, and here we talk about affection. And again, to be free of the impression of anger, where it's like anger is an impression, something that we add to the situation. But let's dive into that a little bit later. And here we have his example, Sextus. His example taught me to suppress even the least appearance of anger or any other passion, but still, with all this perfect tranquility, to possess the tenderest and most affectionate heart. I like those three differences, right? We have love, and we have the greatest human affection, and here the tenderest and affectionate heart. So what does this really tell us, right? In this last translation, suppress your anger, right? And it's like, here, don't give in to your impression of anger. So we have two different kinds of emotions that the Stoics try to take apart. And the Stoics are quite emotional in the right sense, right? They talk about the apatheia, the good emotions, where we have joy, where we have caution, where we have wish. Those are all based on virtue. If you do the moral right thing, if you achieve that tranquility that they say here, right? Or the tranquility, and in this quote, the complete freedom. Once we apply the virtues, we reason and logic, and we make the right moral choices, then we can reach that state of tranquility and of peace of mind. And then we can experience that joy, the good emotion that the Stoics talk about. And then we can feel the love, and we can be kind, we can be compassionate, we can be affectionate to those around us, because we have given that to ourselves as well. We have freed ourselves from those passions, from those anger, from those things that block our reason and logic, because that's what they say. Seneca calls anger momentary madness. Why? Because it reduces our capability of using a reason and logic. And the Stoics are very keen on saying this. It's like those emotions aren't the good ones. But people say, yes, but it's a human emotion. I should be able to feel it, right? I should be able to live with it. Is that okay? You will feel it. It's what the Stoics call a pre-emotion. It's this impulsive feeling that you will have. But it's also your duty and your responsibility to not act out on it. Because if you act on anger, I don't know if people who acted out on anger always have the best results. It's kind of, you're putting your fate in the hands of anger. What we want is be able to choose the right action for ourselves. And then we won't have to regret what we've done. We can say, I've done this out of reason and I've done this out of a clear head and I've made the right choice. And that's not always the easy part. But what Marcus Aurelius says here as well in this Gregory Hayes translation is to not display anger or the other emotions. And the other one is to free ourselves from the impression of anger, to free ourselves from the passions, right? And the passions are what they call the pathos or the pathe, plural. Those are the passions that we don't want to experience, that we don't want to act out on. We will experience them, and if we are still practicing and if we're still learning, we will experience them maybe even more than we want to in this pre-emotion in that state. But then when we pause, we can reflect, we can objectively look at what's happening, we can reduce that emotion, we can make sure that we use reason and logic to evaluate the situation to make the right moral choice. And that's what the Stoics want. Right, yeah, the pre-emotion might happen, but then it's our choice what to do with it. And that's what Marcus Aurelius is reminding himself, is like to be free of passion, to be free of those pathe, those bad emotions, right? The ones that keep us from being reasonable, to use our rational mind, but yet to be full of love, to be full of that joy, to be full of peace and calm, and to experience life the way it should be experienced, and to be kind and compassionate to other people. And especially, I wrote the blog post about how to be a Stoic man, and a lot of men in the masculinity sphere, they need to be angry, they need to be strong. But Marcus Aurelius tells us in many cases that kindness, compassionate, and being who you are, knowing yourself, those are the real signs of strength, right? It's about mental strength. It's about how you are as a person, and then you can be that foundation, that rock for the people around you. So again, if you're struggling with anger or these passions, as the Stoics call it, then reach out. Go to viastoica.com, book a free consultation. We can see how it can work there. But if you want to experience that love, that joy, that affectionate heart, then make sure that you don't have these passions influence your actions and your moral choice the way they might do at the moment. And this is all about practice and making progress. But for now, I'll read it one more time because I love it. I'm going to use the Gregory Hayes translation because it's a little bit shorter and I like the last part of it. Not to display anger or other emotions, to be free of passion and yet full of love. Free yourself of the pathe, the bad emotions, and to really enjoy and live the apatheia, the good passion, the good emotions like joy and wish and caution. Anyway, thank you very much for listening. Please like and subscribe, leave a comment, all of that great stuff. And see you in the next one on a Friday episode of The Quotes. And on Tuesday, we have our regular episodes where we do deep dives and we have great interviews as well. So thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next one.